Welcome to the Smash Masters podcast, hosted by Stefan Eschi and Nick Priest. This is where we dig into the auto body collision repair field and talk quality repair methods and how the industry is always changing. Buckle up, it gonna get bumpy. Hey,
what's up? Good
What's
afternoon.
Welcome to
Man.
Smash Masters
Episode
Mondays.
18.
18, damn.
What's up,
Damn,
Alex?
Alex
is always
Yep.
first.
Yeah, you were first, Alex. You got it.
Yeah. What's up,
Already
Hart?
got more coming in. Hart and Janelle. What's up? What is up?
Good
So,
Monday afternoon.
what's going on lately? How was your day today?
My day was pretty good. I just got back from Colorado, visiting Estes Park, the Stanley Hotel, and that kind of stuff. What's going on, fellas?
What's going on? Black Magic PDR tips over on Instagram. Gregory, Tyler. Tyler was doing some nasty mud work. I saw a video.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was nasty. I mean, the mud work was fine. I'm saying it was a big spot on multiple panels, you know. So I feel for you there.
Yeah.
I finished up my nasty transit quarter this morning. That thing was stretched to the hilt, and it wasn't from me. There was previous damage and previous Bondo in there that I had to dig out and then stretch or shrink the metal and fix my stuff. I definitely went over the time, but
It was a previous cave and pave job, wasn't it?
yeah, and it was like a friend of a friend kind of deal. So, and it was almost totaled, so there was no way. Oh, I hate buffing. That sucks. Yeah, that was no fun. But I got it done, and it looks good. So they primed it.
Z. What's up, Bobby?
Bobby Z in the house. What's up, dude?
Where is Bobby Z? I've been looking for him since MTE. I couldn't find him.
Bobby, you better be going to MTE for more than 30 minutes this year, because I want to meet you.
Yeah, right.
This dude was there and gone. I know there were circumstances and everything, but yeah, it's always good to meet up with people you've interacted with online, in person, and MTE is a great place to go. If all of you don't know, MTE is a mobile tech expo in Orlando. I went to a lot of trade shows last year and this winter, and MTE is by far my favorite. So
it was a fantastic show. It really was.
Oh, I bet you've been busy. The only other thing I want to mention is we still have a giveaway going on.
Yes, we had the what all do we have? We had the Kiko giveaway, we had the Peel Wheel giveaway. Now we have this Cam Auto giveaway here. So if you haven't registered for that yet, be sure and stop in through there, and could be sending that to one of you guys.
Yeah, this is my favorite mini lifter by far.
What's up, Daniel?
Well, I wouldn't say by far, but it's still my favorite mini lifter. I was using it today on a Dent where I felt like I was like, man, how am I going to get a bridge on this panel? The Dent was all the way on the edge. I'm like, oh, I'll use my mini lifter, which is basically a little bridge.
Hey, Cass, what's going on?
What's up, Cass? Good to see you. Josh, yeah, Dan, thanks for everyone coming in. But anyway, yeah, if you head to our Facebook, Smash Masters videos, and you just like the post, follow Smash Masters on Facebook, and tag 3 friends in the comments, then you're entered to win this awesome lifter. I think it's like $240. Yeah, it's a nice lifter. But anyway,
it is.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, we've got some Dent Slayer stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Let's bring Matt in here.
Good
What's going on,
afternoon,
man?
Matt.
Good to
What's
see
up,
you.
guys? Good
How
to
you
see
doing?
y'all.
Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So, I gotta say, I mean, I'm still new to the community, the PDR community, and
Me too. Me too.
Your name came up to me when your Rivian video came out, when you
Yes.
did a Rivian bedside repair, and I think a lot of people have seen that video. I mean, I can pop it up on here, but what can you tell us a little background on that, on how you procured that job? And
Yeah. Well, I just got done training with Bryce that year
oh,
prior.
okay,
I went and trained with Bryce, and after that training was kind of a mind shift in kind of the repairs I'm looking for, and
mm-hmm.
kind of a law of attraction. What you're looking for, you're going to attract, and somehow that found its way to me through an email of and I know. So my friend Igor, he reached out to my friend Igor in California
Hmm.
because
Okay,
Igor had PCH dent repair. Igor had posted some Rivian videos of similar jobs. All these get them on that same corner,
yep.
and then the guy lived in North Carolina, and he was like, I'm taking you my truck to California. Igor was like, hold on, let me find someone closer to you. And he gave him my information. So then the guy calls me and he says, I've got this truck. Insurance wants to possibly total it. The collision center, the certified collision center here wants to put a bedside on it. And I don't want to do all that. And I just want to bring you my truck. And I think he was a wealthy guy who had some money, and he didn't really care. That was a cash job, and he didn't want to file a claim. He was basically giving a middle finger to the insurance company for wanting to total his truck. He was just some redneck old guy who was like, screw this whole system. I just want my truck fixed. I'll pay you whatever you need to do it.
All
And
right.
so he
Nice.
sends me. I'm like, bro, send me some pictures here. You're in North Carolina. It's a long way to facilitate a dent. And he sends me videos, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like. And so I basically said, well, I don't see any reason I can't fix it. And then I was like, if I need a tool, I'll buy it, and I should have the skills. I mean, I just trained with Bryce, and unlock that whole. And so
That
it was
level of
like,
thinking, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, all right, ship it to me. And he shipped it to me, and it showed up here on the truck. I think there's maybe shows the truck in the video. There's another one I did that has a truck in it, or the delivery truck. It might be
Yep.
another video. But
Oh, it was in the beginning of this one, but
okay, yeah.
Yep.
And so it showed up, rolled off the truck, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do? I never really seen a Rivian. I think I fixed a door ding on a Rivian, but never done something like this.
yeah.
And so I didn't know access. I didn't know anything. And it was like, I mean, I'll figure it out, I guess. And so here you see me figuring it out. And
Dent repair is a reactive process. You make
Yeah.
one move, you reassess, and you move on. You reassess and you move on. So at least from what I've done. But
it's constantly evolving the repair, right? I mean, you're constantly re-diagnosing as the damage releases where I tap next, where I push next, where I pull next. All these things are 100% reactive, and you got to be able to read that dent and let it tell you what your next step is, right? And so, but I mean, you can see like that. I mean, the access, that's essentially the access right there. And
yeah,
on top of it being a technically challenging repair, that just physically sucked. Like you're not in an ideal position. Nothing is ideal about that. Like the leverage, where you're at, the board position, everything is like, why did I jump on this grenade, man? Like when you're in it, that's what you're thinking the whole time.
right.
Why?
Yeah, you shit. What did I do?
What did I do? But
I hear you. I get that way with little dents, so I understand.
But as you know, like it's like every moment of the dent is gratifying to some level. Like as it's releasing, you're like, oh, and then you push and and you keep getting this little bit of gratification as that dent just unfolds.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's almost an an addiction that you can't stop, right? You're like you're
Just
just
keep going. Yeah.
chasing that little bit of gratification as it's just opening up or unfolding, and so there you go.
Yeah.
There's the finished result, and
That's just
tried
amazing.
tried to show we didn't drill any holes. That was that whole point of that scene, just because you
Yep.
got everybody's a skeptic, and if you read through those comments, you and I were talking about this, like
I won't
nobody
even do it.
believes I did it. No, everyone thinks I painted it, and I'm like, bro, if I can do body good that good, like I would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like I can't do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys can do that. I
Yeah.
can't body work that. I can't paint that. No way. Like,
It turned out fantastic, though. I mean, a lot of hours and sweat and dedication, sure, but I mean, like you said, I mean this like a chapters of a book opening. You know, you get to the third or fourth chapter, it starts giving you the plot, starts releasing, and you kind of change your tooling out and change your processes, and you're still working on the same dent, but you're working on it with entirely new tools now and different techniques, and then you're still on the same dent. So you've got a whole plethora of things that you've done just to get it to this point.
Yeah.
yes, and I would say it's pretty addicting. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I think it's easy to get bored or at different places in your career with what you're doing or certain things, whether or not it's just the evolution of what you're doing or your skill set, and you want to be challenged.
Yeah.
And that came at a good time for me, with what was happening here locally with me and my business, and then going to train with Bryce, and then that dent came to my door, really unexpected, and there was something there was something that was like telling me, like my spider sense or something was going off of like, you need to do this because this is gonna be so. Like when Bryce is doing his repairs, he's really the payment for him is the video.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously he's getting money for his repairs, but what I'm saying, like what he
Yeah.
values the most is that video content
Mm-hmm.
that he
Yeah. Right.
has. He owns that, right? That's on his YouTube channel. He did
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I was really looking for that for me. Is like, okay, this is for me. Like, the next, it's going to put me into this next spot. And so it's really did. I mean, you guys know some of the story with that.
Mm-hmm.
I got called to go on Fox News. Fox News interviewed me.
See, that's what's cool is that
Yeah.
it not only did it benefit you and the customer, but you're benefiting the whole industry with the amount of yeah, how much you got attention for it. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
publicized it. That's
And I loved that about it. I mean, guys, I'm a lifer into this. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not going to change. And I really desire, like, I've always said the challenges with PDR is letting people know what we do. Like a lot of people don't know that PDR was a thing.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of getting it out there that it's a thing. When I went on those news anchors or the people, they didn't know what it was, even though they were doing the story. I had to kind of tell them, like,
Wow.
this is what I did. Like, thought it was they didn't know if it was a plastic bumper or if it was, like they were just
Ooh.
doing a story.
Yeah.
But I was trying
Yeah.
to explain what we do and our value, where our value sits in the marketplace. I mean, body guys and body shops 100% have a value, right? But
Sure.
PDR has been this stepchild in the middle that has been a long time to get to a place where people accept it as a
As
valuable thing.
insurance, as a total complete repair, not just some kind of shade tree repair that you do. It's up in the tops. It's legit. Everything about it, when it's applicable, is considered I guess a perfect repair
Yeah,
When done correctly.
when done correctly.
when done
of course.
right, when done right.
When done correctly. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that repair obviously come out great, fantastic, and 10 years ago that would not have been thought of, really,
100%
realistically.
agree. I mean, I would have never thought of that repair as a feasible thing 10 years ago. But I mean, again, it's not just the repair. It's everything that's evolved with it, whether or not it's
Mhm.
some of the tools to do it, whether or not it's the vehicle, how they're built, how they're made, the metal, the pliability of the paint,
Yeah.
all of those things are a factor that kind of have traveled with PDR in a good way. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Like
absolutely.
they've all helped get it to where we are, because if Saturn would have taken over and everything had been in plastic, and I'd be out of a job. Like
Yeah, yeah,
like everything has just kind of helped funnel it in a good direction that has made a repair like that a viable thing. And then also technicians who've been doing it for a long time, who've developed their skill sets, like Bryce,
Yeah.
who have honed their skill sets to show guys like, hey, this is a possible repair. Look, I did it. And now we're all like, oh, if he did it, well, I can do it. And if he did it, I can do it. And now that everybody just feeds off of that, right? Because you didn't know it was possible until someone did it. I mean, you could attribute that to a lot of things in life. If that's a triple backflip on a dirt bike, you know what I'm saying? Like that wasn't a thing. Someone did it, and now everybody can do a triple backflip on a dirt bike or whatever.
Right.
Like someone's got to break through that barrier to show guys this is possible. And then it's just like the door's open at that point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we all have our own path in PDR and collision, but mostly PDR. You're maybe not to that extent of getting on Fox News, but everybody is one dent away potentially from being known for this dent or that dent, or some kind of way that you restructured a vehicle and made it back and presentable again. And that you don't really get that in collision, I think. I mean, PDR. I mean, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about PDR since I've been doing it. And I started glue pulling in 2018. Messing around, and from then to now, it's evolved at least twice, I would say.
Yeah.
And especially with, like you said, all the new tools, the new vehicles coming out. There's just so much more to it now than what it used to be, I think.
I think there's a lot more information out there as well. And I think
Information as
that's a
well.
big thing, like people sharing their techniques on how they're fixing this stuff. Whereas when I started in body work, the PDR guys would come in to push out hail, and you walk over there and they shut off their lights and go, hey, what's up? And it's like, well, I'm just looking at what you're doing. No, you can't watch. You can't see my tools, you can't, and none of that. And it's for us. And so that's completely changed.
Yeah, so I've been doing it a long time, and I've never had that part of it where it was a big secret. Like, so I did most of my PDR career here in Jacksonville,
Okay.
and then in 2013, it was my first year I went and traveled for hail, but from 98 till 2013, it was just here in Jacksonville, and we were kind of we had a little kind of family here as far as technicians in a weird way. And we didn't really have that big secretive thing, is what I'm getting. Like I wasn't ever shutting my light off, and I wasn't ever hiding stuff. If anything, when my friends would come by, we would always share tools or techniques, or we were always trying to lift each other. That was the scene here in Jacksonville.
Interesting.
And I think that obviously helped in a big way, because I mean, a lot of these tools, they weren't around, right? Like I remember, I've told the story a few times, like I used to go around to bicycle stores and buy kickstands to be able to get the black plastic thing off the end to put on my tool to push, because they just weren't around. And and so like when another technician would show up and he'd have something that he made or he found some weird thing, and it was like, oh man, where'd you get that? And so we had this little niche group of guys that, and it was like, I never want my friend to show up and be like, you done with that? Like, you sure that's finished? Like I was always like, no, still working on it.
That's good.
It was always that lifting each other up here. But I know that existed. I mean, I've heard endless stories of guys who were hiding and throwing tarps over their tools and shutting the lights off. It was just different here for me.
Someday ask John Kavanaugh and John Vidine's story about hiding tools. Oh, okay. We'll reach out to them and have them on soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was totally what happened here. I mean, other than that, our local Dent Wizard guy was just really pessimistic. And early on in my career, I was thinking about swapping over. I mean, I was trying to get out of body work and do anything. So this PDR guy shows up and he's pushing out dents, and I'm like, that sounds cool, So I'm like, so I went up to him. I'm like, what's it like? What's it like being PDR tech? He's like, do you like being wet and cold? I'm like, well, no. Like, how am I supposed to answer that? He's like, don't be a PDR tech. And it's like, okay. And I listened to him like a dummy, and so I'm body tech. Now I'm wishing I did it way back then, because I would be ahead of the game. But
When would that have been? What year would that have been?
I want to say like 2011,
Okay.
2010, 2011, maybe around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he totally turned me off to the whole thing. But I don't regret going into body work. It's paid off. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for 5 years before I felt like I could do it well enough to make myself happy with what I was doing. And then the gratification came, and then the pay started getting better, so it's what it is. But
Yeah, you got to build up tools and the knowledge to use the tools, and then you got to be confident enough to be able to tear the cars down and do all that stuff. It takes a while.
not miss damage or broken parts. And I mean, that's the biggest thing. You're starting out, you're like, oh, I got all the broken parts, and you're putting it together and nothing fits because you didn't notice that the whole thing was tweaked and really needed some pulling or repairing. And it's like, oh no, they want it to go today, and I didn't do it. So yeah, it can be quite stressful to learn
Absolutely, it is.
body work.
And I always had the misconception that body guys would make horrible dent guys, or that was a hard transition, let's just say, because and you guys, I mean, I feel like there's been this whole evolution that has completely disproved that. There's obviously a ton of crossover body guys into PDR, and the industry's kind of doing that too, right? With some of the tools we're making now, obviously make that easier, like that guy. But it used to me, that
love
used
Danny.
to that used to be a hard transition, was getting a body guy to be a dent guy, because the patience to work on a dent for like that Rivian, 3 days working on that dent, when a body guy is like, man, I could have been done with this thing and got my hours and been on to the next job. Like, and there's an amount of fortitude that you have to be able to want to happen to be able to make that dent come out on a certain level of quality. And there's a lot of mental stuff that you have to firmly grab onto in order to finish out a dent like that. And I would imagine the body guy's got a bunch of head trash of like, man, why am I wasting my time? Why am I doing this? I could have been doing this by now, or I could have done this. And it's a quality. I don't know. I would imagine there's sky's the limit with what you guys have had to deal with to be able to hold back yourself from getting out your DA or your grinder or whatever and just buzzing it down, and to be able to say, no, I'm going to stick it out and push out a dent. Like, and so you guys have totally disproved that theory to me. And I think now you crossover body guys probably have an advantage over PDR guys, because they have so much knowledge that I'll never have, as far as how the car is built or the structure or how the metal flow or whatever it is, that you guys have such an advanced level of knowledge than just some guy who just got into doing dents, right?
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that in my career has helped me out with learning PDR for sure. I will say that I think we're few and far between those of us who are willing to take that extra time to learn this skill. But we're multiplying, we're the more of us that do it and show that we're doing it. And that's part of the reason why we have this podcast. Is the more guys get interested and they go, yeah, interesting. Like, so I could do that too, It's like, yeah, absolutely you can. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you think the draw for body guys to get out of body work into dents, like, what do you think is a catalyst for that? Do you think it's learning a new skill? Do you think it's getting out of the chemicals or the dust? Or do you think it's the money? Like, what in your perception is kind of the light that people are running towards?
I think it's a combination of all of them, honestly. But I mean, that being said, some guys don't even want to go full PDR, but they want to learn the techniques in the body shop. So in that sense, it's all just learning a new skill.
Yeah.
We're also trying to show them that you can actually you can repair things faster using glue pulling and push tools. Because then at the end, your mud work becomes super easy, and that's where the time is. All that sanding. So if you spend the extra time on the metal, and cut down your sanding time, you've just knocked out a repair that before was going to be a replace. Number one. So I mean, it all depends on the tech, because I've met quite a few techs that aren't interested in PDR, but they want to learn push tools. They want to learn reading the light. They want to learn glue pulling.
Yeah, just the techniques. They don't really want to go out and, wear all the hats of a PDR guy.
Right. So they're not looking to leave the industry or get away from chemicals. They're just looking for either they're more money because they can get things done faster, or a new skill, because I'll speak from my experience that I was burned out with body work entirely. I was bored, and this is maybe 2-3 years ago, and we got a Kiko set in. We had our Kiko training, and my life changed, and it was a new challenge. And not only that, the feeling you were talking about, like that dopamine chasing, where you see the dent start to unlock. And it's like, oh my God, I just did that. I just chased that feeling. So yeah, it's a combination of all three for me.
Yeah.
But I'm also still in the body shop. I don't dislike it. I enjoy having the health insurance and the 401k and all that stuff. And maybe someday I'll be convinced to go off on my own. But for the moment, I'm perfectly happy doing what I'm doing. And I found a shop that's really taking my skills and utilizing them rather than not caring.
Do you feel like you specifically, your skills are at the point where you could jump? Meaning you could survive on just PDR and what your skill set?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'll do a little bit of admitting here. I'm really bad at saving money, so I'd have no money to jump back on. So maybe that's the main thing that's holding me back. But I'm really good at spending money. I'll tell you, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I feel like my skills are there. Absolutely. I might have to turn down some larger stuff, but I can do it for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. He's definitely there. It's just the mindset change at this point. Getting out of the body shop and then going straight to you're the guy that's giving you all the work. You're the guy that's going to do all the promoting for you. There's you don't have a shop that's going to bring it to you. And
Writing estimates, ordering parts.
All
Oh
that,
my
yeah.
God, I've never done any of that.
Well, I like to say that, like, when you like starting into PDR, there's three real aspects of it that I think of that you have to learn pretty quickly. One is the skill set of PDR, right? Like, you got to learn that. Then the second one would be just running your own business. Like, that's hard. PDR is hard. Running your own business is hard.
Yeah.
And then you have just the self motivation to that it. Or there's no clock you're gonna punch. There's no boss calling you saying, "Why are you late?" Like, it's all three of those at once that you kind of are just right in the deep end, and you've got to figure that out.
What's up, David?
And that can be overwhelming, right? Because you're learning all these new things, and so some guys are good at just jumping right in and saying, "I'm gonna figure all this out at once," and some guys, like, they baby step it. I don't mean that in a weird way, but like you learn, I'm going to learn this. And once I fully grasp this, I'm going to move on to this, and then just kind of work through that. And but it can be really intimidating, I think, to just quit a job, walk away, and start something cold turkey or whatever. That like
Yeah, it's freaky. It's
freaky.
Yeah.
freaky. I've always had a job. You know, I've always had a job as soon as I could legally work. So to not have a job would be just weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
freaky. There's no better word, honestly.
And
Yeah.
every community is different too. You need to kind of get familiar in how to approach the people in your area, or whether you want to kind of approach body shops, or what kind of, just general public that you have that you're trying to service, and how do you best suit that. So, I mean, you got to add that in there, and that's part of running your own business, promoting yourself. And like you said, there is no clock. I mean, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock,
Right.
if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes,
Right.
Yeah.
because at that point, you really have nothing else better you need to be doing right now except making this your top priority when starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, I'm taking my new shop is a 4-day work week. I work 4 10-hour days. Well, actually 11 because I always have to put in more. And then I take my 3 days off and I do PDR work. So it's just constant. And I'm a homeowner all by myself, and I got the podcast and the social media videos, and I'm all in. Like, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Getting a taste of that. Yeah, and I'll work right through lunch, all sorts of stuff, and it's but that's what it takes. And if I can't handle this, then I can't handle 100% my own thing. So it's kind of a good test.
Yeah.
Kind of a good test for it. James said he has a couple of your tools, and he finds himself grabbing them 70% of the time first.
Okay.
And I will tell you, I almost always, in every dent, find a reason to use the AR9.
Okay.
And I still love it. I'm using Sergio's blue on that one. And I just love how easy it is. Take the cover off, flash the panel, stick it on, pull it, put the cover back on, put it back in. It's all done. It's just go to
Yeah.
my blending. So no, I really love that tool.
Nice. Thanks. Yeah, that was a long time getting that thing out, and I'm glad you guys have found a use for it. I'm glad you body guys have found a use for it because
Yeah, there's definitely a use for it, and like you said, you can put the cap back on it. You can put it wherever you want. As to some of these other ones, if you have to unscrew it, you got to put its own little stuff back, if you need to. And
Right.
I don't know.
Speed is the name of the game.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
that cap came together about the last 10 seconds of building that thing.
That's great.
I mean, I was just so focused on the mechanism, and because we went through so many. So AR9 is because it's the ninth version of that.
Ooh, wow.
Because I went
Okay.
through 8 other versions before that one was
Okay.
correct. We went through all kinds of the mechanisms to get it to return, and like Glock magazine springs, and I was getting everything and just trying to get the right spring and feel, and nothing was right, and so it was back to the drawing board and redesign everything, and so anyhow, got it finally dialed, and I went to A1 for this because it was about a year of development with that, and going, John would mail me something. As soon as I'd get it, I know in about 10 seconds if it was good or bad, and I'd be disappointed with maybe the mechanism or how it felt just wasn't right, and I'm like, dadgummit, and then I had to mail it back, so it was just this long ordeal from snail mail building this thing between here and Missouri.
yeah,
And I'm like, this is bogus, man. I got to fly out. I got to go out there and do this and spend a couple days, and we can fly through, 2 months worth in an hour. You know what I mean? So me and James flew out there, and they already had some stuff ready, and we, pull this off, throw that out, give me that, let's do this, and we're doing that. And it was like fast forwarding this thing, and we got it working, and it was just like, I could see like this halo around it. I'm joking, but it was just like this magical thing. It was like, oh my gosh, this is it.
Yeah.
And I handed it to John, and he was like, and there was an extra piece of carbon fiber, like an extra part right there. And I said, John, can I see that? And I grabbed it and I picked up this carbon fiber and I put it over the ends. And we looked at each other like, no freaking way. And then it was like, okay, give me that. Let's take this and put this. Hey, and he got, hey, come here, machinist, and the machinist come over and I need you to cut this and just, and like within an hour we had it, and it was just like, this is like, it was like, oh my gosh, like it was like awesome. We just struck gold in the middle of California. It was like, this is magical, man. And so that cap, it just came together because again, there's form and there's function, and I'm always chasing both of those, and you got to be careful of which one is over. And I wanted it to function, I needed it to do its job before it looks pretty. And then once I got that function part of it, then that other was just the icing on the cake that just made it even more functional to cover the tabs and the glue. And it was just a surreal experience, and as surreal as you can get building tools. I mean,
yeah. And that is nice that it covers it up, just because I don't know about you, but just being mobile and doing stuff, like the heat will melt the cold glue right off tabs, and it'll have it sticking everywhere in like 10 minutes. I mean, it's so to have something where you can just close it up and store it real fast is super nice.
Yeah, you don't want to sting it to your knockdown or your tools, and you're dragging stuff all around your cart and peeling it off or in the dirt or whatever. Yeah, that because guys were wanting, because I came with the cold snap too, which is my slide hammer, which takes the same tabs, and it's just a manual slide hammer. And so that was my first one. And guys were always asking me for covers for tabs, and we went through some different ones, and I'm like, man, like, it's hard to figure that out, but yeah, I mean, you're getting that cold glue dirty, or you're touching other tools and it's sticking to them. And that was always a thing, but the AR9 just came together in a glorious manner and just it was perfect.
Very cool. It's as soon as you released it, I'm like, oh man, I had just bought a cold glue slide hammer from a different vendor, which I was very happy with. But I was like, man, if this came out like a day ahead, like I would have bought this instead. But whatever, I ended up with it eventually, especially since you're doing you donated proceeds to a needy family on Good Friday. So I was like, that's it. I'm ordering it that day, like a double whammy right there. So I get the tool I want. I get to try it out and promote it in my videos, and we're helping somebody out in need at the same time. So that's great.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, David, the hat that you guys and I'm wearing, and Nick's got one, but
I need to get one.
We fully believe that. Like I'm, you are the local Dent Slayer, and if nothing, we want to support. I want people to support me. I want people to support you, and we want to support each other. And that guy is another technician who is in need. And it's like, what am I doing if I'm not doing this? Like it says all over my hat. Right. Let's support this guy. Like I don't know him. I don't even think I shook his hand still to this day, but it doesn't matter. Like he was a guy who needed help in a situation. It's like, let's just do what we can and with what we got and support him. So
it was mind blowing for me seeing the amount of support the industry has within itself, the PDR industry, because there is zero of that in auto body, zero. And it's just night and day. And I'll tell you, that's part of the reason why I told myself I got to learn PDR. I mean, it's a small part, but it's part. It's just like, man, I got to get into this industry. And it's really cool to see.
The collision industry is kind of like you were talking about with the wholesale community. That whole thing that you were getting into, the cutthroat part of it, that's kind of like collision repair, especially when you go to a new shop. immediately offend, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 people for whatever reason.
If you know what you're doing, you
Yeah.
start in a new shop, you're gonna piss some people off. It's just
It
every time.
every time. So,
And
and you step over out of that world to where, you sit in the corner and just work on cars all day with headphones, and trying not to give people reasons to call you out on one little minor something you missed. Stepping over into the PDR community and, all the support and stuff that people have is just, it's amazing to be a part of.
yeah.
I think I'm very grateful to have been a part of it from almost its inception. I mean, there was a little bit before, but I think even that, like, there wasn't a lot of culture or back then, and so when I got into it, like, we got to be part of building that. Just like how I was telling you about technicians in my area, like, it's been cool to be able to be part of almost from its inception, how it's gotten to this day. And it started as small, very few technicians in a market. And then when internet broke loose and training broke loose, and because it was hard to get training, man. I remember I was trained locally, and then Dent Wizard trained me. But if you weren't part of a company that trained you, you just want independent training. It was like 50 grand. Who's gonna pay? Who's got 50 grand to pay? It's like going to Tulsa Welding School. Like, nobody's got just all that money. And so it was really hard to get into it. And so the gate was narrow for getting into this. And so we did have this tighter knit community. And now you're seeing it expand, but we're still trying to keep that culture of it. We don't want it to get cutthroat like it is in the body world where, and it's shows like this and different podcasts, and the MTE has been tremendously, like, that has to be one of the best places to help build that. Like, if you don't go there and come out there with a smile on your face, then you're probably part of the problem. Like, everybody who goes there has fun. And
I had fun. I really enjoyed it. I come out of there with a whole bucket of smiles.
Yeah.
There's so much that happens there that is positive, like for our trade. And we've been trying, let's just say, hold hands for, like, without being weird. We've been trying to hold hands and just keep that circle tight. Not so much small, because I mean, there's always new people coming in and we're training people, but you're trying to, like, preserve that culture is what I'm saying.
Tell that to James, David. But no, I totally agree with you, and that is something that's gonna have to. It might take some work. I mean, there's room for all of us. There's plenty of dents for all of us, and I have seen, even in the small amount of time I've been watching, James, who I'll call him. I mean, you know who I'm talking about. In the small time I've been watching, the market's getting a little bit more saturated with dent techs, at least up near me. There's quite a few, and there's more people leaving Dent Wizard all the time and starting their own thing, and it would be a shame to watch this support fall away, and have it become completely cutthroat. So anyway, it's we definitely got to keep that going. But speaking of podcasts, I mean, you just started a podcast with James
Ritchie.
Yeah.
Dent Repair Jacks.
When does that come out? When does the first episode come out?
So it will be out tonight.
Okay.
Uploading as we speak.
Okay. Nice.
I'm looking to see here if it is out right now. It's uploading to YouTube as we speak. So it'll
nice.
be
nice.
It's going to be its own channel, the Dent Slayer podcast. So it won't be on that one. We're starting our own separate channel.
All right. For anybody interested, we will share it on our Facebook and everything. We'll share the episode so you guys can get connected with that channel and everything. Go
Dent Slayer
subscribe.
podcast. Yeah, go over there
We
and give
just
that a look.
completed episode 1 of the Dent Slayer podcast here at Dent Slayer Studios. There's Matt, and there's our guy Marcio. Yeah, he did a great job. What'd you guys think? We're wrapping it up. What'd you think, Matt? Do you like how it went?
Yeah, I can't wait for episode number 2. It was awesome, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be so good. Can't wait for you guys to see it.
How'd it go, Marcio?
Amazing.
I like it.
Have to watch this.
I like that.
So
Nice.
it's just so everyone knows, it's a 2-hour podcast.
Okay.
Um,
Very
we're-
cool.
We wanted to do our spin on it. So me and James work in the same city. I mean, we're good friends. I've known him my entire career, essentially, and we're 5 minutes down the road from each other. And we're like, we have a unique thing here where we can do this face to face. And so we're doing a face to face interview style or in studio podcast. And James has tons of equipment and does video editing and videography. And so he already has all this equipment. And so it's like, let's just do it. And so
Definitely.
let's not limit it with the time. And so they're going to be, and they're not going to be live, just so everyone knows. Right? We're going to do them when we can do them, and they're just going to air when they air. And so, but we're pretty excited about it. Episode 1 is already recorded, and that should air hopefully tonight, as long as it gets uploaded. And then we've already got episode 2 on the books to schedule. And then I've got at least 3 different guests lined up that are going to be in studio with us to do it. And just got to nail down a few dates with those guys.
Very
Awesome.
cool. Very cool.
We're pretty pumped on it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I always like adding something to, because I always run out of things to listen to during my work day, and body work can get monotonous, so I gotta listen to something. And yeah, another podcast to add to the list. So
Yeah, me personally, I've got Dent Nerds, PDR College, Ginger Bros, and I go through and watch Dent Digest, Ryan and Alex and Michael Glidewell's RWO, so yeah. Adding this one is going to be really good.
Gregory, 2 hours is nothing. Some of us have suffered through 4 hours of Dent Nerds multiple times.
And that would be suffering, my friend. I know.
I've been through that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
David Ricci is awesome. Yeah, he's a good guy. I met him down at MTE last year. He didn't know who the heck I was, but maybe that'll change next time.
I remember you. I'm pretty sure. I know we met, but I remember you when we did the demo with me and Keith. Did that demo on my door.
Yeah.
You were there doing, I think, a live recording it.
Yep.
We were
Probably.
kicking it in, and
I was barely getting the video of that. There was a crowd around you guys, and I was in the back of the crowd.
There
going
was a
like, with my
crowd the
phone
whole time.
holding up like this. I'm like, I hope I'm getting them, and it worked out great. It came out to be actually a great video.
yeah, that was cool. That was cool. He was looking. He just came out with that apparatus with the straps, and he was looking to how to set it up and show it. I'm like, freaking put it on my door. He's like, you don't mind? I'm like, no, because I brought it to demo the AR9 and some of my tools. We drilled holes in the door so you could get levers, and so it was just kind of a interactive booth that we were trying to have. And so, but guys have been ripping on that door all day with the AR9, and so I was like, dude, come put it on my door. He's like, you don't mind? I'm like, nah, man, let's go, let's do it. And
Yeah,
I
that's
knew
awesome.
there'd be a crowd. Like, that's just what happens. And then when you get Bryce kicking in your door, like, because Bryce was kicking that thing in.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's why I walked over. Bang! I turned around and it's Bryce. I'm like, oh, I gotta get over there.
So Bryce was not part of that at all. He was literally walking through to go to another booth. Like, he had just been, and because I trained with Bryce, I saw him. I'm like, hey, Bryce. Hey, can you kick our door? He's like, I said, dude, there's another person qualified in this building to kick in the door than you. I'm like, let's go. Kick that. And so it was just this perfect, another perfect storm of events that was just a really cool time. And that's what I'm talking about, is that culture, right? Like that is such a fun time. We all look forward to those. We're looking forward to what's going to happen this year, and even the PDR Expo, I'm not able to go to that in Vegas, but those are all positive events that only just help us. And I'm glad you guys go. I really am, because I talked to so many technicians. Like, a lot of guys have reached out to me about my Rivian video about access or whatever, and they're guys, and I'm like, hey, I've never met you. Have you ever been to MTE? No, never been to MTE. I'm like, what? Like, you're living with your head in the sand, essentially.
Right,
I mean,
dude.
I understand. I'm so busy, I can't make it. I get it. We're all busy, man. But like, make time for that. I really do think you need to allocate time. If you care about this skills, this trade or this skill, and you care about the community, make time to go be part of that for a couple of days. And if you haven't done that yet, if you haven't been yet, you need to work towards getting there. You better start saving now, or whatever you got to do to get there. Go be part of that. See that, because it will only, iron sharpens iron. A rising tide lifts all boats. It's only going to help you, whether or not it's you're finding new tools, or you're finding a new buddy, or you're finding a new whatever it is. Go there and just spend the money, take off the time. You can shut your shop doors. I promise you, people will come back the next week. Like, the world
can make more money.
They absolutely will too. They absolutely will.
We can make more. We can always make more money.
I hear the excuse all the time. It's like, bro, if everybody else around here can afford to do that, you can too. Like, come on, man.
I don't even think about it as a money thing. I mean, honestly, we only have so much time in this world. Experiences are worth more than money in my eyes.
100%.
100%. I don't care what it costs. I'm there. It's just what it is.
It's what, 3 days? It's not like you're asking for a month.
Right.
3 or 4 days. I mean,
hey man, you don't even gotta do 3 days. Just go in there one day. Like 3 days.
Right.
Yeah, do 3 days, but just give it one. Like, you could. What I'm saying? Like, just show up,
like
and
Andy
you'll
says.
see what we're talking about.
Yep. Count
Vacation.
MTE as a vacation. Yeah.
With a Dent family. Yeah, that's what it was for me.
Yeah. And I give them a quick shout out right now. Andy's one of the hosts of the Ginger Bros Dent Show. They got Michael Hidrago on from Heavenly Hail Repair. Yeah. And I am looking forward to Wednesday.
Good technician to be on this Wednesday. So if you guys haven't yet, go check out the Ginger Bros podcast show. You'll enjoy that one as well.
Yeah, definitely. Some really good podcasts, honestly, in this community. And I'm looking forward to
And what are they doing? They're sharing information, or they're sharing techniques, or they're building culture, right? And I just feel like
There's the other one.
Part of our duty to help do that. And you guys are doing that. You guys are crossing boundaries into PDR, and we're having discussions. You're introducing me to new people that I've never seen. These people who are commenting. I've been on quite a few podcasts, and I've never seen those names or some of those names. And I think that's awesome, because they're getting insight into our world, and we're getting insight into your world, and we're being friends. Quick story: when I first got into doing dents, I don't know what year. It might have been '99. This specific time, I walked through a body shop, and these painters, man, they called me Dent Gypsy, and they thought it was the worst thing, and I'm taking their money, and it's like, they might as well just started throwing rocks at me. They didn't, but like, they weren't far from doing that. It was just like, stone him.
Yeah.
But I walked through the shop, and you just get all the evil eyes and all this stuff. Dent Gypsy and whatever, guys. Okay. And this dude, man, he was a painter, and he had laid down just thick candy and wet sand in between coats and clear, and just had this like mint paint job on his personal truck, right? Like, he just spent days and days painting this thing. And he comes running over to me one day, and he's like, Matt. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Like, I thought you were going to hit me. What's up? He's like, you got to help me out. I'm like, oh, okay. And they say it was verbally against me, like, every time. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you got to help me. I'm like, "Well, okay, what?" He's like, well, I was at my son's baseball game and fly ball hit me in the hood, and I don't want to cut into this hood. I'm like, okay, like you just had this. I could see the connection forming in his head of my place in the world as a
Yeah.
value to him. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
And so I go in there and I fix his hood, and dude, I'm telling you, I was not that good at this point, but he's like, he swears I straightened up his orange peel. And I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm that good yet. I was only a year into it. Maybe I was a little bit, a couple inches over. I don't know, but he's like, man, that guy straightens orange peel, and he was all like bragging me up. And he was my biggest advocate at that point in that shop, because he realized at that point, I'm not trying to take his job. Like, it's a whole different what we're doing. It hits a different checkbox, right? We're not
Hmm.
doing what you guys are doing, and we will never replace what body guys do.
Right.
But there is a place for us. And as soon as people make that connection, they realize it. Now, man, I've got shops that are, they refer me to work, and they'll just give out my card and vice versa. And some of my really good friends are body shop managers and owners around here. And it's a level of working together that used to not be there, and I love it. And I have body guys reaching out to me, wanting me to train them, because I do training here now too.
Oh, cool.
And so I have body guy. I trained a really good body guy this year, and so I can just see this connection again happening with body shops, technicians, or whatever,
Yeah.
and PDR guys. It's been really cool to see. And you have to give it to Kiko. They've been the loudest voice in the room as far as building that bond. I mean, those guys are in those shops every day, showing what's possible, and completely, converting guys like you into PDR. And it's been crazy how much Kiko has grown in the last year and a half. From my standpoint, they've just skyrocketed. It's amazing.
They're doing great. Charles up at Cam Auto also has done a lot for glue pulling in the body shop industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
So both of
Yeah.
them together, it's been like a storm of glue pulling, and it's very cool. And then we got Gene coming out here making this an insanely
The GPR
awesome
masterclass.
GPR course online, which I didn't know you could learn that much on an online course. Honestly, I went through it, and I was already glue pulling for a year or two, thinking, I'm one of the best glue pullers out there, and I learned so much on his course past
Yeah.
that, and it made me that much better. So it's been very cool. I also agree. I called myself a hybrid tech for a while, but I don't think that's really accurate, because I really think the skills can just be used either way. We're just using techniques from the PDR world in the body shop, and if the body tech wants to take that a step further and go to PDR, that's up to their own determination and everything. Yeah, Gene was born to teach. I agree.
Gene is phenomenal at it, and his course. After you go through it, you obviously need time with the tool on a panel. You need to get
Sure.
used to that, but he gives you the confidence, to go out there, and when you do mess up, when you do something wrong, you can correct it, and you don't feel like, well, I'm never going to get this. I'm done with this stuff, and like collision work. Cars, like you were saying earlier, cars are changing. They're evolving. So the old way of repairing stuff is slowly going away, and regardless, dent tools are going to become the future in collision repair. It may not be like PDR, but you will still fix cars with glue and dent tools, where used to, you would be using the heavy stud guns and all that. You're throwing that away now. And even like the some of the newer stud pullers are coming out designed, to not burn the back of panels and whatnot. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's been very cool watching the change.
it has. And even when I started in 2018 glue pulling, there was no information out there hardly. So from 2018 to now, 6 years, I mean, it's exploded, and it's been very cool to be a part of.
Yeah, there's been a lot of information shared lately, and I feel like there's been a lot of we've grown. Our industry has grown leaps, probably since at least since 18. Like there's
Hmm.
huge leap forward and big shift in all of it. The information shared, some of the tools, and it seems like it's only continuing to go that way. So it's been really fun, man, to be part of and to uh, see you guys coming in here. It's just super cool.
See, Chad
Super
is
cool.
like me. Chad is like me. His collision work is like repetitive, boring factory work after however many years. And it took me a lot less to get there than 26. But yeah, PDR, it's like a whole new challenge, just a whole new way of looking at it all. And it totally changed how I approach my body work now. I mean, I grab all my PDR tools and I bring them in every week.
Hmm.
And I'm doing everything with glue and with push tools. I rarely use the dent puller, and if I do, it's because I got to shrink. I don't have my CBH 200 that's on my shopping list yet, but when I do, I'll start playing with shrinking on the backside and stuff, and different kinds of shrinking techniques. But currently, I take the paint off, I heat it up, cool it down, shrinks it. It's the
Yeah.
body tech way to do it, but.
What would
Yeah.
you guys say has been the biggest challenge for y'all learning PDR?
The biggest challenge for me was identifying the tool choices that were available. That was, getting comfortable with what's out there, who has what, and what you actually need to buy in order to, do this efficiently. Prior to that, if you're just doing collision, like Chad said, it's the same thing over and over and over. The dent might be different, but it's the same exact process. And after a while, it just becomes boring. But now, um, when you learn all these new tools, like your stuff coming out, or A1s, or anybody's tools that are coming out, you get to familiarize yourself with them, and it just kind of brings back a fire that you're like, man, I got to get more of this stuff, and then it just starts after that. You take it wherever you want to after that.
Yeah, for me it was learning the light, and I was I got instructions on the light from Gene, I got instructions on the light from Real World PDR, and all of it was very good. But I think I was like 4 or 5 days into my training with at David's, and fighting these dents on these doors he was giving me.
Hmm.
When I finally, it just hit me. Like I was looking at it, I'm like, I can't focus. My eyes aren't focusing. I got the light facing me, and I turned it this way, turned it that way. Okay, my eyes can focus, and now I can do it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the key. Like that is the key. And like I wasn't reading the light correctly. It wasn't set up before. So the body guy in me goes, okay, I know there's a low there, so just stick it over there somewhere and start pushing. And it's that you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to know exactly where you're going to be pushing every
Hmm.
time. And if you just change that light and or the way your head is or whatever like that, for me that changed the game. And I didn't know that was the hardest part. I didn't know I was fighting that until I figured it out. But yeah, that was probably the
I
hardest
was going to
thing.
ask because I feel that I don't want to say it happened for me this way. I don't remember if it did, but a lot of guys would say that there's like a light bulb moment that goes off where you can see the light,
Hmm.
where it's like I don't know, and it's like, oh, now I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you
total
you
night and day
described it
moment.
perfectly.
Total night and day moment. And that's the another thing is that then since then I've tried to help guys get to that point, and they're just like, no, 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 I see it, and I'm like, dude, your eyes are like this, the light's way over here on an angle. I'm like, there's no way you're seeing it the way I'm trying to tell you. He's like, no, 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 I see it. It's like, okay.
Hmm.
I would describe it as like shooting a gun. Like you would never shoot a gun unless you could perfectly identify what you're pulling the trigger on. And it's like if you can't see it, then don't pull the trigger. And it's same with like
Hmm.
pushing the tool. Like guys, I just see guys get in there and they just want to whiskey throttle through something. And it's like you're not like that's not it. Like wait for that moment, and obviously you gotta get to that point. But yeah, if you can't push it, if you can't see it, then don't push it. And
Yeah.
Right.
Can't fix what you can't
you
see.
can't fix what you can't see. That's
Right.
just
And that's the part where I'm talking about identifying what's out there to
Right.
actually use to be efficient at this stuff.
Yep.
There's so many tool choices out there to choose from. There's so many lights. There's, so much, especially from just being a small community. So, um, that was the hardest part for me. I took to light reading really well, identifying where, I hear a lot of people, having trouble finding tool tips, and I never had that problem.
Yeah, no, that was easy for me to get right away as
I
well. Even
never
before
had
I
that
knew how to
problem.
read the light, I was already
I
finding the tip.
remember I had a really hard time learning a whale tail, especially when you're sticking in a brace.
Mhm.
That was so like 'cause I learned pushing on a hood and you nice crisp high spot and you're kind of getting the feel and the visual and it's all marrying in your head and like okay I got it and it kind of translated the same in the door with the okay and I can see and then a whale tail came in it was like because when you push it in you get this soft bulge that kind of happens through the brace.
Yep.
And I think I'm where I'm at, and you twist it, and it's like I'm over
Way
here.
over
It's
there.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what? And
Yep.
you go, and then are you going to twist it that way or that way? And it's like,
Mhm.
so whale tails really scrambled my eggs a little bit there, learning that
I can
back in the
relate.
day. But yeah, I mean, I did not learn on a light. I learned on our different little reflection boards that we had.
Hmm.
That's a whole nother thing. But
Hmm.
lights just they're so good, and when you can see it, it's just beautiful. When you can see that just nice fade and the orange peel. It's
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it just clicks
yeah,
at a certain point, and it's all about putting the time in. Because if you didn't put the time in and all the fails and all the what the hell am I doing here, you never would get to that point where it clicks and you see the light, like you
you can't
said.
cheat it, man. You can't
No.
cheat it. Like I say, it's like making cake or making brownies. Like you can have all the ingredients you want, but if you got that time, if you don't put that thing in the oven for a certain amount of time, it's going to come out like a mess. And
Yeah.
like it's got to have the time. The time is the key, and you got to put in the reps and you got to put in the time. And if you do that, if you are consistent and disciplined in doing that,
Hmm.
then in my opinion, you will have success. But that's a huge hurdle that a lot of people. That's why I was referencing body guys because a
Yeah.
lot of they wanted that instant gratification so they can move on, and it doesn't really come like that. Like you'll have a big mess on your hand if you don't put in that time and that finesse early on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so crucial. Yeah, tools, man.
100%.
Like I'm a tool builder, and there's a lot of tools, and I would say they all do the same thing, man. I mean, you have two types of tools: ones that work from the top, ones that work from the bottom, and they all those are the same thing, and all they do is just give us different leverage or different accessibilities, and you need a good variety, but you don't need everything that comes on the market. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm a tool builder. I'd love to sell you everything on the market, but you don't need it. Like you can get a lot done with a lot less.
Hmm.
I would say, I mean, sometimes, I mean, it's a big thing for hail guys to have less variety, like to have less tools because there's less that you have to choose from. You're not like
Mhm.
Hmm.
looking through 20 tools I'm going to pick up. This is the one I get, and this is what I do. It
It was
is
a
a
Kiko trainer.
benefit. It is a benefit to have more, I think, right? You have,
Yeah, I would say so.
of course,
Yeah.
but I would say guys don't need to get hung up on like, I got to have that tool to do this or got to have that. I mean, you can get done a lot with a little bit, and I think at some point, like it clicked with the light, it clicks with tools, and
Mhm.
like it kind of becomes magical in a way. Like
Hmm.
I don't know.
I can agree.
Yeah.
I can agree.
Yeah.
I've limited myself a few times doing some jobs, and I've been surprised what I can get out with the 2 rods that I have on me. So
Because that is the skill. Stuff.
right,
Like is it the Indian or the arrow? And like, don't get hung up on the arrows. The arrows you put, you got a really skilled Indian,
right,
and he can get a lot done and with some primitive arrows, right? But now let's give him a really good high quality compound bow and some broadheads, and now that guy's going to crush it, right?
right.
Yeah.
So, but focus on the skill set and then build your quiver later. And I would say the real measure of a dent guy is take his tools away and see what he can do. Like strip it down really thin and see what you can get done with less. And then I think you've really achieved this like Zen level of like PDR where it's like, you can fix a dent with a Coke bottle, and you know what I'm saying? Because you understand it on a different level.
Yeah.
And so
the process is you know what you can use, what you can work with, and that's also hard too for a collision guy to step over into PDR, because the ways that you would approach this dent is not the way that you would put it in PDR, and
right.
So yeah, that's a struggle. And
Like that whole thing I was saying, where I was like, yeah, I know there's a high spot there, so I'm gonna just start pushing. That's how we do body work, because we're feeling the panel, and then we're like, okay, there's a low spot right around there, bang, 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 or high spot or whatever, and it's not that we can see what we're doing, it's that we felt it, and then we're like, okay, if I hit it this many times this hard, it'll probably be okay. And then feel it again. Oh, too much, or whatever. That's the body guy mentality, and it's just you can't do that at all. With
so you're
PDR.
almost starting at a different end of the spectrum with this almost savage brutality, right? Instead of this fine-tuned finesse. Like we're starting from two different places, and if you take that approach into PDR and you just get the first tool and start reefing on the bottom of this dent.
Yeah.
By the time that thing opens, you're gonna have this mess on your hand. That's right?
That's one thing that you don't really see in collision, is watching a dent open and form back. You're just essentially just forcing it back into place.
Right.
And it's obviously not perfect because you're using filler to mask a lot of that. So you're getting it all close, but yeah, you're not really, you're just putting whatever stud or key or wiggle wire or whatever, and you're just forcing it back in place and getting to where it's relatively smooth to the hand, and then fine tuning with filler. Where PDR, you're taking a whole different approach to it, like
relieving tension. Right? Like you don't even think about that in a body world in general. I mean, maybe a little bit, but it's not.
I would say in PDR, like just for like a general rule, you're trying to not force anything. Like you don't want to force it. Like, bro, if you're hitting on that high spot and it ain't moving, stop.
Yeah.
Like something else is happening. Like let's reassess, because all you're gonna do is just blister out that paint. You keep beating on that, like you're beating your head against the wall. And so you don't want to force anything. Or if you're trying to push and it's not opening up, there's probably a reason. It's probably locked up damage or whatever. So we forcing is, I would say, is a no-no. Here,
and like Daniel's talking about, as long as it's under a 1/4 inch thick, you're good to go. So I mean, how much of an error do you have to be a 1/4 inch, worth of material to smooth something out? That's a lot.
Yeah, the 1/4 inch is a lot of filler.
That's
a lot.
That's a lot of error to fill in, and when all you really have in PDR is just the existing paint. That's it. You got to match it to the reflections.
Right, you might be able to wet sand and buff a little bit out, but not much. Not to the point where the body guy can do it, but it's.
Do you feel like, and please tell me, do you feel like PDR is the truest form of body repair?
It's the best form of body repair.
Yeah.
Or the
100%.
purest form of body repair.
I feel like I'm taking those skills that I had repairing metal and fine tuning them and pretty much just focusing all on that part of it and not even needing the rest of the parts of body repair, painting and all that. So it's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you're literally taking a dent and making it go away without any like I don't know. It's like it's like kosher almost. No additives. You're just in there, and you make it go away. You don't add fillers, primers, paints. None of that.
yeah.
So
Yeah, like
It's
I know that there's a lot of good body guys. I see them all over my Instagram feeds. They're just getting it completely straight, no fillers, just metal and files, and then
mhm.
like I see a lot of that. But for the most part, I think your average shop around the corner, generally speaking, I feel like they're just hiding the damage underneath. They
yeah.
get it kind of
Underneath the
close, and then they
Oh yeah.
fill
yeah,
it, and
that's
then
what's happening.
so it's like
Mhm.
you're not really repairing it. Like you are, but like I think PDR, like there's nothing to hide. Like
Right.
it's the most pure form of body repair you can get, to the point
Right.
where even preserving the paint that's on it.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Like what else are you asking for?
Yeah.
And
Yep. Even when you're talking about metal finishing, you're still taking away a lot more than what you started with.
Hmm.
You're taking high spots and you're filing them away, which in turn
Gives
makes
you
metal.
thin spots.
Yep.
Yeah.
And metal work prior to PDR work was the best form of metal work out there. So with all the new changes and stuff, I mean, you're essentially doing metal work, but you're leaving everything intact.
Right.
yeah,
You know, and
Right.
that's yeah, as long as it's executed correctly, you haven't stabbed the back of the panels and all that. And I mean, you can correct that with e-coats and stuff, but as long as you hadn't just like ruined it with a PDR rod and it has to be done conventional, then yes, the purest form when done correctly.
Yeah.
on my Rivian video, like some of the comments that just like listen, I love the comments because they just boost the algorithm, so I don't care, and I actually try to. I hope there's more negative comments because it's only going to boost the video.
It
so,
does.
I,
Yeah,
Drama
yeah.
makes for the best content.
so I don't care. But some of the videos, like the logic, it's like, or some of the comments, like, um, this should have just been replaced, and I'm like, how, like, why didn't you just paint it? And I'm like, why couldn't I just do this? Like, why is this not a good option? Why can't I do
Right.
what I did? Like, why? I don't understand why this isn't okay to the guy who's thinking that it should have just been cut off and bondoed and painted.
Because they don't
Like,
understand. They don't know how you did it. So
Yeah, it doesn't register in their mind
right.
what you use to get it back.
There's some jealousy in there.
And
It's still
or
magic to me.
well, I mean,
So
bro, it's magic to me. Like, I mean, every time one fixes that I fix, I'm like, I don't know how that came out like that. Like,
mhm.
because again, you see this this knotted up thing, and then you just slowly see this flower open, so to speak. Or it was just
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and it's really fun. And
Mhm.
yeah.
listen, man, I've been doing this my whole adult life, and I enjoy every aspect of it. I mean, there's lots of drama that comes with it, obviously, with running your own business, and there's lots
Mhm.
of little things that I'm not saying that, but like I truly geek out on what I do from every dent that I take on, and it's fun. It's just problem solving. It's this puzzle, and it's just like you said. Every dent starts different, and then as soon as you push on it or pull on it, whatever you're doing, it changes. And so you're always chasing as it changes,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and it's this evolving thing. And the tool that worked for you 3 pushes ago is irrelevant now. It's a whole nother tool, and I got to use a whole nother access or technique or approach or whatever. And you're just constantly in it,
Hmm.
and it's very satisfying. I think.
Even after all these years later, it's still satisfying to get something that was bent or deemed unrepairable and fixing it, making it back, to a presentable level.
I think it's satisfying as long as you're approaching the skill set in the right way. I mean, some
Mhm.
guys are just in it for the dollar, and that's fine. I'm not.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own motives, but I'm not in it for that. Like, I'm in it for the skill of it. And
Mhm.
you can call me a nerd or whatever it is, but that's just it's just some guys enjoy hitting a tiny white ball with a stick for fun, and
Mhm.
I enjoy pushing a dent for fun. Like,
Yeah.
why is that weird?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but I'm the same way.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm the same way. I
and
really
I,
enjoy
I
it.
look I look forward to this stuff. I mean, I look for stuff that I can push myself and go, I don't know if I can fix that or not.
I took a door home from the shop that I'm working at now that was replaced, and the thing was folded up, and it was sticking that far out from the quarter when you shut the door and everything. I said, "Can I have that door?" And they're looking at me like, "What?" Okay, I took the door home and I'm fixing it, and it's messed up, but
Mhm.
I've got it well past the point where it needs filler. And it's been ready for filler a long time ago, a lot of hours ago, and it's nowhere near done PDR. And I probably messed it up a little bit so that it can't be PDR, but that's okay because I'm learning and I've never done ginormous damage like this one. But it's because I like to do it. That's why I'm doing it. That's when I'm bored, I
And,
go in the garage and do it.
and
So
when you're done with that door, what are you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna bring it back to work, show them what the hell I did.
And then what? Throw it in a dumpster, maybe?
It probably will, because technically, since we replaced it on an insurance claim, we have to throw it out. Like, you can't sell it, you can't
Yeah.
use it.
But the point is, you put all this time and hours into something that's gonna go straight in the trash
Oh
can.
yeah, it's just gonna
Yeah.
get thrown out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's like, why would a person do that? And it's like, it
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense, but it's got to be for the love of what you're doing.
it
That's the
is.
only
Mhm.
right, like that's why. And the
Yep.
same reason someone spends thousands of dollars, to go fishing or like to go hit golf balls or whatever it is.
Mhm.
It brings you fulfillment and what you're or relaxing, therapeutic or whatever you want to call that.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their therapy, and I think like this is the magic thing for me where it's like it's my job and it's fun and it's therapy.
Yeah.
Like, I get to do all of them at
How
once.
cool is that?
How
All of
cool
them
is
at
that?
once. Yeah.
I get to do
Yeah.
all at once, and so I hope my desire with that other people who are getting into PDR would somehow get a glimpse of what I get to see, like,
Yeah.
and what I do. Yeah.
Well, I did, and it was inspiring. And like I said, the Rivian video was the first time I had heard of you. In fact, actually, my father's got a Rivian. He's on all those Rivian groups. He sent me that damage back before it even got to you, and he was just like, check this out. They're saying that maybe it could be PDR, and I'm looking at it going, no way. And then you ended up with it and fixed it. And I was like, whoa, I'm wrong. Like. But I mean, it's very cool. It's very cool. It's inspiring. So it's
I had one more that was maybe worse than that one. It's on my Instagram. It's a green too. Looks just like that one, so it's easy to scroll through. But
okay.
Yeah.
the guy said he came from Denver because
Mhm.
he said no one in Denver would want to touch it, any PDR guys. And I think I was a little more scared when I saw that one. I don't know why. It's probably not different factors, maybe worse, maybe just different. But
Mhm.
I was probably a little more scared when I saw the Denver one. Plus, he's a little further away.
Mm.
And it was both sides too. Like, one side was minor, but one side was pretty significant. And it's like, man, these just keep getting worse and worse. But I jumped on that one too, and it came out great. And the
That's
guy shipped
awesome.
it to me. I fixed it, and then he flew in with his dad, and I got an Uber from the airport, came here to my shop, and drove home. But
That's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I think I did the same thing. I think I did the same thing. Oh, I got to meet him in Orlando.
Well, I mean, you know, I mean, to be fair, your whole Dent Slayer booth stayed packed. I mean, so it shows that you really enjoy what you're doing. You're not just out here doing it to take somebody's money. I
I
mean,
think the only reason I got to talk to you is because I got in early.
yeah,
Because I got in early, there was no crowd, and you're kind of still setting up. And I bought a banner from you, and I tried out the AR9. I wasn't able to afford it that day, but at least I got
Yeah.
to play with it. And I was like, okay, I like the long, not the heavy. You know, I like them both, but I want the long. You know, and so that was good. And then the rest of the time, you know, I walked over with Nick a bunch of times, and let's go say hi to Matt. Oh, Matt's busy.
Matt is always busy, and James was always right beside you filming or doing something. So he
Yeah.
was right in there, and you know, just you're just doing your own thing. So I slipped in there, and I got one of these hats and shirts. But
Yeah.
man, it stayed packed for the most part.
Yeah. It was
And the
busy.
tools, the tools come out of, obviously, you know, I think it's very relevant for me to stay in competitively in doing, you know, the dents, because that's where the creativity for the tools comes out of, is my day to day doing the dents. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to step back at all from doing dents. Like, even in running my business, you know, like I want to stay very, very active, because that's where my creativity comes from. And I feel like if I withdraw out of that, then my the tools that I bring will just fizzle off. You know what I mean? Like,
Go down. Yeah.
go down, and I lose relevance as a tool maker, or, you know, the tools I'm bringing are gimmicky. And so I don't want to do that. I want to make usable tools for dudes who need them every day. Like, that's what I want.
Like
And
like this. This is the AR9. He's asking what the AR9 is. Chad is.
so it's an
This is
auto
my
returning slide hammer.
this
The
is
AR
my
stands for
video.
auto return.
And there was a little crease at the top of this quarter. It had been hitting the back so hard that the quarters buckled a little bit. So after I pulled the rear back where it was and replaced the panels back there, the tension was off. I could go and pull those dents right out. This is all I needed. This and a little filler. Fast. Just super fast. Self-returning cold glue slide hammer.
I think cold glue, out of all there you go. I think out of all the current PDR tools that would be usable for body guys, I would think cold glue would probably be probably top on the list, right? I mean, what you can do with cold glue just for bulking something out, like, I mean, I know, like, it seems like it's like,
We're not worried about locking it up. We're not worried about using it the wrong time. It's just a quick thing. Grab it, flash the panel, boom, boom. It works or it doesn't. You didn't really waste any time. But if you get it to lock, to really bite, you can really move some metal with cold glue.
It is a sweet hammer. Yeah.
And the slide hammer just makes it fast and easy. So
Yes, it
fascinating.
does.
That's the point.
That's the whole goal. I mean, if you was to do that traditionally, you know, you would have to grind all that down and find somewhere to put a ground. If you didn't have
feather
anywhere
out
close,
the paint.
feather it out, and then get in and pull it out, and then put filler on it, and then prime it. And you know, you'd take a dent this big, and you'd turn it into something easily that big or bigger. You know, by the time you get through with that. So
What I like about cold glue is that it releases when it's ready, like when it's good pull. For the most part, sometimes it pulls it high, but, you know what I'm saying, like, you might over pull it a little bit, but, like, I'm like, you know, usually, especially with my AR9, you're using a smaller tab and a smaller amount of glue and a smaller weight slide hammer. You might slightly over pull it, but generally it pulls up when it gets to that good level. Unlike a hot glue tab where you can, you know, you put some really good collision glue on that thing. You pull the car around the shop with it, right?
yeah,
So, you know, I think cold glue is cool because it releases at the point it knows to release at, right?
Yeah.
it won't do anything that is too much for it. It will get everything the metal's asking you to get out of it, but you're not going to destroy anything doing it.
It's like it's got a mind of its own. It's like it's smart glue.
I like that.
Yeah, Chad. Matt's also got a really cool cold glue video out that him and James done a demonstration on of a bunch of the
Oh,
different
whole
types.
bunch.
So
I like that video. That was
that
great.
that was a cool video. So if you hadn't seen that, Chad, go over to where did you post that on YouTube? Dent
That's
Slayer.
that'll
Or
be
is,
on my personal YouTube page.
okay,
It'll
okay.
be on my Dent Slayer Facebook page too.
Okay, yeah, just go over there and check that video out. I mean, he's got it's a lot of insight on a bunch of different cold glues. That was
And
a
we
cool
shot that
video.
video hot here in my shop. I mean,
Hmm.
that video is going to make sense for some guys, and it probably won't make sense for other guys who are in a different climate, different part of the country. Or, the glues may communicate different to the panel. We're talking about doing another one here in the winter when it gets cold here in
Yeah,
Florida.
Cool.
yeah.
Cool,
And
yeah.
just going through the same samples. I actually got a few more cold glues in the mail. Some other companies sent me,
Hmm.
and they've been asking me to do another cold glue
Oh, awesome.
video. And so we have one in the books we're wanting to do. But
Nick
we won't, again,
Rodriguez, sorry,
I want to wait for it got cold.
Nick Rodriguez over on Instagram says, "Yo," he says, "cold glue is my next purchase." So he's and he's a painter, and he's been dabbling into this hot glue pulling, and now apparently cold glue pulling too. So he's obviously he does more than just paint, but that's his main role is a painter in a body shop. So that's very cool. And so it's cool to see you progress, Nick.
Yeah, there's been a lot of painters actually dabbling in PDR and glue pulling just to get out what painters will call blend dents.
Yeah.
So, a
Yeah,
panel
Joel
that,
Langdon was doing that too. Yep.
yeah, yep, he sure was. And, a panel that's got a small door ding or something on there, they'll get that thing out before it's prepped.
Yeah.
And then, it's just something else to make the customer's car that much better than just adding filler and, primer over it. So,
One annoying thing is painting over old damage. And so
yeah.
if you can take a few minutes and just pull something out, why not?
Yeah.
I've been impressed with the refinish crew getting into the glue pulling as well. I didn't see that coming. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
In a lot of my videos, you'll see, because you can use cold glue to start the damage. I will use, so like on that Rivian, or there's another Rivian, there's a white Rivian I did,
I saw that
where I have, I'm doing some direct pulls,
Yeah.
out, where it's pulling out the dent out, no lateral tension, but direct pulls out, and the car's under,
Yeah, way
the dents
different.
are under tension, and I'm going in there with cold glue, and I'm just popping it, and it just releases, like while the tabs are on. I got ratchet straps hooked to it, and I'll kind of pump the straps a little bit. That's one of my techniques I like to do, is I just kind of pump the straps and give it a little bit of a bounce, and you'll kind of see, and then I'll go in there with cold glue and just test it, and you'll hit that spot. You can see it hit that spot where it just releases.
Yeah.
And that's in the white Rivian video. So, you can, for soft dents, you can use a cold glue in the beginning. You can use a cold glue in the middle, like deep dent under tension. And I even use it for finishing, those last little bits
Yep.
that
Yeah.
would take you, 100
The
pushes or so.
subtle lows.
Subtle lows that
Yeah.
it's like, man, you got to spend some time there potentially. You get that, and you don't want to mess up the texture. You've got it, and it's like,
It's
man, you go in
almost
with
there.
the cold glue and just pop it, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
solves a lot of problems. And I look at that every day, and I'm like, where was this stuff 10 years ago? Like,
Yeah.
I know where it was. It was holding up that frost barrier on the door, whatever that dum dum. I've got
Yeah.
rolls of them, and I know it's similar stuff and butyl, and I know it's not exactly the same, but
Yeah.
I would have put that together.
The first cold glue I bought was Dum Dum. It was Dum Dum. But then I got Sergio's and a few others that were not Dum Dum. And I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely bought some. My first kit came with Dum Dum in a little tin. And I mean, it did something, but The real cold glues, Glexo, Sergio's. I mean, even the dead dent tools, orange stuff was better than that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's yeah. It changed a lot. Yeah. So it's oh, Kevin says you look beautiful today too, Nick. Just so you know,
Oh, nice.
not just
Nice.
me. It's
Nice.
nice of you,
Oh,
Kevin. Thank you.
yeah. Such a nice guy.
Will that cold glue work on those shallow hail spots? I've seen guys do whole hail panels with just cold glue and a blending hammer. I
Yeah.
think one of them's in this chat. Yeah, Daniel, right there. He likes
Daniel's
to
done
use
it.
his sticky gum, which I've heard. I hear some people rave about it, and I hear some people really hate it. You know, it's there's got to be different techniques for different cold glues. This is what I'm thinking, because once I figured out the technique for Sergio's, like it unlocked a whole bunch of strength, but I had to figure it out or research it. So,
Yeah. Climates, I'm sure.
The way I think of cold glue for hail, I mean, because these are minor dents, and like you're encouraging the natural tension that's already in the panel. So like on contoured panels where there's already some kind of tension where the panel's been shaped that way, and it
Okay.
has maybe a curve or a feature,
Mhm.
and it's that feature introduces some amount of tension into the panel, and there's a dent in it, and it's been reversed. And so when you go to cold glue it, it works really good in that environment where it's just encouraging that natural tension that's there. So for rails, I think cold glue is ideal because it has natural tension formed from the factory there, and you're just helping it want to go back out to where it was formed. Whereas flat panels, I don't, or floppy panels, uh, it reacts different, right? Because that natural tension's not present, or it's just different. And so I think for hail on rails, cold glue was made for that, or in the front of roofs in the front up there, where again you have this kind of natural tension that exists as opposed to just a flat sheet of metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
That's a good explanation. I do see people using it more. Actually, when I think it was Gene's video on cold glue, where he was pretty much saying this is a finishing tool, or if you're in an area like a rail that, like you said, already has that curvature to it. He's like, that's really where cold glue shines, and so it's you're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah,
And,
limited access for sure. I mean, you got hot glue, but if you can get it out with cold glue, I mean, that's obviously a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have much hail up here in Connecticut, so I don't really get to test that as much. But I watch.
So have you
others.
guys done a bunch of hail ever?
I have. I guess it's relatively a bunch. I mean, I've done a bunch this year. I've probably done, I don't know, maybe 40 cars this year.
Okay, that's a
So,
lot.
I did one.
Yeah.
I had one hail car. We were like, holy crap, a hail car in Connecticut. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Were they moderately hit, Nick, or would you light, medium, heavy?
I've had some light ones. I've had some that you need to shrink in order to finish them out. I guess baseball size. I've had two of those jobs, and most of them's just been the ideal hail that you can run in there, knock it right back out real easy. It flows back nice, and you don't really have any problems other than access and stuff. So I would say it most of it's been light. And dent count wise, I would say, I don't know. I'd say I've had a few 500, 600 dents and stuff, and then some, just really small, but it's worked out.
I would imagine from a body guy standpoint, doing hail would be a little bit easier mentally because So like, from a door ding guy who's doing a couple panels here and there, and now you have this car that's got hundreds of dents on, that can be overwhelming, right? Like, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? That's a lot of bites, bro. Like, I don't know if I can get through this. Like, that can be intimidating to come from just being a door ding guy to doing hail.
Yeah.
You guys are the reverse. You guys are coming from having cars freaking beat to crap.
Stripped completely apart.
Bags of nuts and screws and everywhere.
We rebuild cars,
And you're like, well, a little hail car, this is nothing. I got to drop the hood pad. Oh my gosh. Like, what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
Like,
take the windshield wiper nozzle, off with the hood, drop the headliner down, and good to go.
No big deal.
No big deal at all.
Yeah.
Because it can be very, PDR can be very mental, right? There's a lot of head games that you're playing. We were talking about, and I think you guys would be at a strong advantage to not having to deal with some of that stuff that might be present with other guys.
We've been conditioned.
You've been conditioned, like,
yeah, right. I mean, how overwhelming is it for just say like a dent guy like that to come and have to do all that stuff?
There's a lot of door dingers that will not touch hail cars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that feeling personally, just because we've been in collision, but I can imagine there's a lot of people out there that that just probably scares them to death. I would imagine. Especially when, you drop the hood, or you take the hood off, drop the liner, and then the hatch has to also come off,
So,
Right.
So I think it's processes. You guys have understood processes, right? Like, you come from a body place where it's not just, let me grab a tool and get to work. Like, there's a process, there's procedures, there's A, then B, then C, then D. And you have to essentially follow that to have a successful repair in a body shop environment. I would say the same is there in hail. And as long as you learn the processes, then it makes the task more doable.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Or more digestible. And I think a lot of guys don't take the time or the training, and they just go pull a car in the shop and think they're going to fix a hail car. And then they learn really quickly, like, this is overwhelming. Why did I do this? This took up more than I can chew. And it's because they didn't learn the processes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
get with some guys educated who have done hail. I'm not saying you, I'm saying listeners.
Yeah.
Get with guys who are educated, who have done hail, who know some of the processes, and it will make your job your life a lot easier once you know those. And it takes, it makes a hail car very simple, right? When you can break it down in step-by-step portions, instead of, I have this car, what is the first dent I fix? Like, and you're trying to make that decision. And after that one, where do I go? Do I do the hood and the fender? Do I do the doors? Do I do the worst panels first? Do I do the lightest panels first? And you're just scratching your head the whole time. And you're like, I'll pass.
Yeah, and not to mention too that you look at, just say you got a hood here and you've got, let's say, 100 dents on it, but the last one or two that you get to that you were kind of scared of, or saving the last, or maybe in the edge of a panel that you're kind of unsure about. Well, you get to that one and just say, you mess it up, and you have, they has to be refinished or thrown out now. That always, to me, seems like it's in the back of a lot of people's mind. Like, what if I get halfway through this and I mess it up, and then we have to throw the whole thing away? Like those mental battles such as that you kind of overcome, not just fixing the hail, but those what ifs during mid job. Then what do you do? So I imagine that can be a lot of overwhelming for people as well.
It's still overwhelming for me.
Yeah.
So
some guys would ask me, like, when I did hail full time for 8 years, and they're like, I always do the worst dent first. That way I know I'm not wasting my time on the rest of the panel.
That's
and I'm
how
like,
I do it.
Well, I was like, honestly, I'm going to do the worst dent last, because now I got to fix it, because I'm already that committed.
Oh.
I've already done this whole hood, man.
Yeah.
And this is the last dent. I got to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it puts some, I've already invested time into it, and I can't just walk from this thing if it gets a little tough.
Right, I do that. I go in there and I get some of those small wins knocked out of the way. You get some flat panels start to spread through, and then you start hitting those big dents, and getting them out. Because now you can't just go back and say, well, yeah, like you said, I'm done with this. And you're committed. It's got to go now.
See, so I'm like Adam. Adam says he fixed the worst one first too. So like that's the reason my thought process behind that is that I figure I'm like, well, I'm always questioning, and I got to get out of my own head, honestly. But I was like, all right, that's the worst one, so that's what's bugging me. If I knock that out first, the rest will just fly by. It'll just go real quick, and that's been my experience. I only had one hail car, but I do have cars with multiple dents, so I'm kind of applying to that.
Yeah.
I would say try it the other way. And
I will.
Do it. Do what you feels right to you in that way. Like there's more than one way to skin a cat, but experiment with that because again, I think if you do that, you're leaving yourself an excuse to bail, like to not have to fix that panel. You know what I'm saying? Like you left an out versus the other way, you got no out. I mean, you can, but it's going to cost you, the time that you put in that panel. So,
you burn your ships. Yeah. Burn your ships. So you got no choice but to do it right. No, I like the idea. So I am going to try it.
Yeah, do that. And I mean, if you time it just right, that last one will land right about lunchtime, so you can get halfway there, get it going good, and then take a break and come back and finish that thing out, and then move on to the next.
I like it. I do like it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we should wrap up here. It's been really fun having you on. I mean, this was easy as hell to talk to you and everything. We really appreciate it.
Gone by really fast.
Yeah,
it's an hour and 45 already.
Yeah, already. I mean, sometimes we go that long, but not often. And usually it's only when it flows, and so. This is good. We appreciate it. If you guys want to check out more, I mean, he's got all the social medias, but he's got the dentslayer.com too, and that's a link to his tools, his training,
all his stuff.
Yeah, bunch of information.
If you go to my Instagram, that's like, where I live essentially, and I got a link tree at the top. You can go to that. That'll take you to a lot of stuff. It'll get you to my YouTube. It'll get you to my training. I do PDR training here too, either beginner or advanced training. And then take you to my tool store where we sell all tools through A1. And so a lot of people don't have Instagram, so you can go to dentslayer.com too. But I kind of live and die by Instagram.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, social media is a great tool, especially in this industry.
And we will be posting the link to the new podcast that.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys.
Again, I don't even know the official name of the YouTube channel yet. James is making it as we speak, but we will put a link to that in my Instagram link tree also. But then tomorrow I'll share it on my socials, either Facebook or Instagram.
And we'll share it on ours once you share it.
Yes, we will. We'll definitely be sure and share it. So hope.
Really appreciate it.
Yes.
We're gonna throw you in the back room. Don't go anywhere. We'll say our goodbyes afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you guys for having me on. Nice meeting all you body repair world people.
Yes.
We see
the
more
Smash Masters. They're all Smash Masters.
Yes, every one of them. Not us. It's these guys on here. So
yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, guys, remember to go to our Facebook, enter the giveaway if you haven't yet. This tool is the Camauto Mini Lifter is just great. So
it absolutely is.
Don't miss out on your chance to get a free one. And then if you don't win, maybe consider going and buying one. It's
really that good.
You're gonna love it.
You absolutely will. And of course, we're always going to have some type of giveaway. We have something lined up for next month as well. So, keep hanging in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All
right, everybody.
Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.